I just want to say a word about Kamala Harris, the vice president, because she really put herself out there over the past few months at great risk and peril to herself and her family. She was thrown into the deep end of the pool politically and hit all her marks and then some, and showed up for America.
Well, everybody, we're on the Young Turks channel today, and the Young Turks, as you see, they're taking a look at a couple clips from the mainstream media, MSNBC, and who else? CNN, maybe. We'll see. And as you just saw, we saw Mika Brzezinski there, and Joe Scarborough. And Mika was saying that Kamala Harris ran this campaign flawlessly at great peril to herself. Like, what? What peril? She ran a campaign, yeah, and did a pretty shitty job of it, apparently. I mean, a flawlessly shitty job, or something like that. So flawless that she got completely destroyed, blown out, got landslided by by orange Cheeto fascist Nazi man, Donald Trump. That's how good her campaign was. She was just so likable and so relatable. She's so relatable. Remember all those relatable things she did? So anyway, let's carry on with these clips. And oh, we got Joy Reid coming up, and then the Young Turks are going to comment on them.
This really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign.
Was it?
Amazing. Amazing.
Well, the fine folks over at MSNBC were in utter disbelief that the Democratic candidate, Kamala Harris, lost the presidential election last night because, according to them, her campaign was flawless. Now, here's
when propaganda goes wrong.
Now, here is Joy Reid making the case. She's making the case. She's gonna bolster the argument that Kamala Harris had a perfect campaign. Let's watch.
And I think it's important to say that, you know, anyone who has experienced or been in the United States for any period of time and experienced this country's history and knows it cannot have believed that it would be easy to elect a woman president, let alone a woman of color. Let's just be clear. And nothing that was true yesterday about how flawlessly this campaign was run is not true now. I mean, this really was an historic, flawlessly run campaign. Queen Latifah never endorses anyone. She came out and endorsed. You know, I mean, she had every prominent celebrity voice. She had the Taylor Swift, she had the Swifties, she had the Beehive. Like, you could not have run a better campaign in that short period of time. And I think that's still true.
Oh, yeah, even the Young Turks cannot believe this absolute nonsense. You just listen to Jenka there, laughing in the background. Ana Kasparian, of course, flabbergasted by Joy Reid's description of Kamala Harris's campaign as flawless, utterly flawless. You know, totally flawless, everybody, right? It was flawless, wasn't it flawless? Like, really leaning into the flawlessness of, of her campaign. But, of course, it was racism and misogyny, too, because a woman of color ain't gonna be president. And it looks like Donald Trump has boy, he's batting 1,000% here. He's knocked down 2 women candidates. He's just not gonna let it happen, is he? He's in it to win it. So anyway, let's hear what the progressives of the Young Turks have to say. I have a feeling I might be agreeing with them today. Let's see what they say.
Okay, but like, Queen Latifah.
Oh my God, she got Queen Latifah?
Queen Latifah.
Okay, thank God we're going to be in the White House. I wonder who her cabinet's going to be, because she ran a flawless campaign. She said, you couldn't have done it any better. She lost. You don't think you could run a campaign any better than losing?
She was...
That's amazing. She lost the popular vote. Okay, Jesus Christ, what kind of alternate reality do they live in?
Kamala Harris ran on the message of saving democracy as she was campaigning alongside a neoconservative like Liz Cheney, who ran interference, provided cover for the Bush administration, which violated our constitutional rights and suspended habeas corpus. Just something to keep in mind. But she was a perfect candidate, Cenk. Perfect candidate. It's just that she was a black woman. And no country would ever elect a black woman, or the United States, of course, because we're just inherently a racist, terrible country, of course. And we would never elect someone named Barack Hussein Obama, who's also black, except we did twice. So,
and he polled at 83% popularity after his first victory. So apparently in this country that is so racist that they would never elect a black woman, had a black president at 83% approval.
Exactly.
Okay, but no, it's not the fault of your beloved Democratic politicians. Never that.
Guys, I just, look, this is something that I like to do time to time, just to make sure that I'm not going crazy. Because if you look at Obama's campaign speeches, you can juxtapose campaign Obama to President Obama, because when he was in campaign mode, he got it. Like, he understood what kind of messaging resonated with Americans, okay? He ran, I would argue, I wouldn't say flawless, nothing is flawless, right? But as close to flawless of a campaign, especially in 2008, as you could possibly run. And it's because he had a message that resonated with the frustrations of the American people, right? The economic instability, we were in the financial collapse of 2008 at the time, the frustration over the wars abroad. I mean, campaign Obama was incredible, so incredible that it didn't matter what his name was, it didn't matter what his skin color was. What mattered was the substance of what he was saying. We didn't know what Kamala Harris really stood for. We didn't. Let's be real about that. And so that was a problem. To say that she ran a perfect campaign and then point to Queen Latifah endorsing her as evidence of a flawless campaign is delusional.
No, I'm never gonna forget that line. That's now instantly one of my favorite lines. It's like an ESPN classic. She ran a perfect campaign, she got Queen Latifah. What more could any candidate do? And then she added, she had every prominent celebrity totally oblivious to the fact that nobody gives a goddamn about your stupid celebrities. You care about them because you're like, oh, celebrities, oh my God. You guys are so precious, right? But what does a guy who's a steel worker in Pennsylvania care about Queen Latifah or even Beyonce or whatever? So look, I don't mind the celebrity endorsements. Maybe they help around the edges. Maybe Taylor Swift got some younger voters in, although younger voters didn't show up to vote because they didn't get anything from the Democratic Party. They would have much preferred student debt relief than Queen Latifah or Beyonce, okay? But, and it's not to say that there aren't some racists that voted against her because she's black, and there is some misogynists and sexists who voted against her because she's a woman. Of course there are, right? But was that the driving force in this election? No, the fact that they didn't deliver and that they thought just getting a bunch of celebrities around themselves and having corporate CEOs sign a letter saying she's great and getting Dick Cheney and Liz Cheney to say how wonderful they were and raising $1 billion meant that you ran a perfect campaign.
Obviously it doesn't, yes. So what can I say? Of course, I agree with Jen Kuger and Ana Kasparian of the Young Turks. It's absolutely delusional of everybody, of all these pundits on MSNBC, to say that Kamala Harris ran a flawless campaign when it was anything but. It was impossible to know what she stood for. She was completely unlikable, as she always has been. She was a vice president for no good reason. She was literally a DEI hire as vice president. That's 100% true and obvious. They literally picked her for that reason. I believe Joe Biden himself said that when he was running, that he was going to have a black woman or something as his vice president. Specifically said that. And of course he chose her, even though she was notoriously unpopular. Remember when she was a candidate in the primaries, she dropped out early because she was horrifically unpopular. Got destroyed in a debate, I remember, was it by Tulsi Gabbard at the time? Anyway, she was hugely unpopular. Every time she opens her mouth, it's embarrassing. She didn't prepare for the softball interviews she had. She had a few softball interviews. She didn't do the populist thing like Donald Trump did, like going on podcasts. He went on Joe Rogan, of course, famously. But he went on some other ones, and Donald Trump was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but he can hang with ordinary people. Ordinary people like him. You know, even if you don't like his over-the-top, brassy, obnoxious demeanor and all that. If you're just sitting down and chatting with him, he's probably just a cool guy to hang out with, you know, in your podcast studio, or even to just have a drink with, or at the McDonald's drive-through window, or sitting next to you in the dump truck while you do your rounds. Not the dump truck, the garbage truck while you do your rounds. You know, he comes across as natural that way. Because he is. Yeah. Of course, he's never gonna, you know, he's never done, you know, manual labor in his life, but he can talk to people who do. It's really that simple. It comes down to that. And yeah, your positions on certain things. Now we'll see what he actually accomplishes in office. That's always something else. You know, he made a lot of promises before he was first elected, before his first term, and not many of them, you know, he was unable to deliver on many of them. Of course, he was blocked all over the place. Maybe he'll be less blocked this time. So it's interesting to see the Young Turks, Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur, slamming the mainstream media. Because the mainstream media, I mean, why shouldn't they be slammed? They're useless. They're liars and or delusional. So let me know what you think about all this mess in the comments below. It's kind of cool to see. I mean, the libs are not melting down so hard this time, but they are still delusional. And I hope they continue to be delusional. And I hope they continue calling everybody Nazis and racists and fascists. I sincerely hope they continue doing that, because it will just continue pushing ordinary people, normies if you like, towards Donald Trump and the Republicans and the anti-war movement, if you like, amongst other things. So let me know what you think of all that in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps me grow the channel and continue making content for you.